Hello, hello, my friends. It is Hondo, and welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic. You know what to do, and stay profitable.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there, welcome to the Nerd Academy podcast live. This is Knights of the Nerd Republic, and we are coming to you live from Kentucky with the one and only Bill the Thrill Sheehy, Kentucky One Kenobi. Night one of Star Wars Celebration has just wrapped up, and we have the news to get everybody caught up who was not able to attend the convention live. I am going to pull up the stream on this computer as well so I can keep track of comments a little easier. Sweet. But Bill, how are you feeling coming out of Celebration Day 1?
You know, I feel like every year I have like my thoughts on Celebration are always like, oh, I'm kind of tired of Star Wars fandom. I'm kind of tired of it. And then I get one thing from Celebration, then all of a sudden, I'm back in. So I feel really, really good. I got really, really excited last night because we got some friends who are in Japan right now.
Yes.
And seeing their reactions and seeing like, you know, all the new stuff with the Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling, it's given me hope again, which will probably end by the time by the time Celebration's
we will
over.
All be fed up with the fandom in
absolutely.
about 36 hours again.
Absolutely.
Also, big shout out, obviously, friend of both of ours, friend of the Nerd Academy, Scotty Jarod had his big panel about midi-chlorians, packed room, standing room, when we got word of how the panel was going. And did you hear and are you aware of Scotty's big announcement at the end of the panel?
I saw.
You saw.
And I am really looking forward. The funniest thing about that to me is that it said forward by Alden Diaz, which is like a fucking course.
It's going to do like, irrevocable damage to our character because like there's no coming back from also like, well, I forward in a book, you know. But for those of you who aren't aware, Scotty's panel, which you can watch on the Bombat Cast right now, he live streamed the panel. He announced that he self-published a book about midi-chlorians. I only found out about a week ago, right before everybody left for Celebration, was when I found out. So I've had a chance to obviously order one and get into it. But I do plan on getting the book for myself. I plan on having my copy signed.
Same.
I plan on having my copy signed. So big shouts out again. If you're not able to make it to Celebration and you want to get a feel. I mean, they're not showing us any fucking panels, but that's not true. The industrial.
Talked about that at all.
I have not talked about that exclusively this whole time. We have seen some cool panels. Got the ILM one hosted by Sam Whitwer, whom we'll be talking about some more in a moment. But if you want to see some of the fan panels, I know those are going to be streamed, and I highly recommend you go back and check out Scotty's midi-chlorian stream and go buy his book. But jumping into the big news of the day, now we did not see what was so. The first panel of the event was supposed to be the Mandalorian and Grogu panel, which they kind of stealthily turned into a Lucasfilm showcase. Which like nobody's complaining about that. More news, more announcements. But we do have kind of final, concrete, completely, there's no mystery to this anymore. The Sean Levy Star Wars film is locked in. Mm-hmm. It is starring Ryan Gosling, 100% confirmed, locked in, set in stone. This will take place 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker, 5 years after the Battle of Exegol. It's going to be a standalone film. It begins production this fall. They're shooting in the fall, and they're aiming for a May 27th, 2027 release date, coming out on the 50th anniversary of Star Wars.
That's just the thing with most of these Star Wars movies now that they've announced. Have just assumed for a while that these are like 4 or 5 years away, just because like it just, especially with the Rey one, it seems like they keep retooling it. I think they'll happen eventually, but we got basically 2 concrete dates. These are coming out. One's coming out next year, and then one's coming out 2 years from now, which is really, really exciting. It's crazy. I think Kathleen Kennedy in the Star Wars Celebration live show talked about like how it's been since 2019 since we've had a live action Star Wars movie in theaters, which is going to be so awesome to finally be able to go back, because that didn't hit me until she said that.
Yeah, that's all I've been able to think about is how long it's been a Star Wars movie. We had a run of 4 or 5 years, 5 years, where we had a Star Wars movie a year. Yeah, and it became this like December time staple. And it seems like with these release dates between Mandalorian and Grogu, which we have more to talk about here in a moment as well. And now this new film, which I don't know if I said is officially titled Star Wars Starfighter. We had that like December era. Feels like we're coming back to May.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Do you think, because like I kind of got accustomed and I kind of liked having a Star Wars movie at Christmas time, and then like it was kind of the only big movie that would come out, and then it would have no competition until basically February. So like I like that part of it, but
I like Star Wars getting to like monopolize that window a lot. My big fear, what spooks me about it, is that I don't like the idea of Mando and Grogu in particular having to go toe-to-toe with Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah,
that in particular, I've said it 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 more. I need one of those movies to move back at least 2 weeks. And at this point, I don't think it's going to happen. Honestly, and it scares the hell out of me.
I wouldn't be mad about them pushing it 2 months. Like make it to July. Yeah. Because like I think it feels like the same thing they did with Solo. Like they did, and they might market it better than they did with Solo, but like we didn't get our first trailer for Solo until February, and then it went up against Deadpool and Avengers.
Deadpool, Infinity War, and Deadpool 2, Infinity War, and Incredibles 2.
I've never worked on a movie before. I've never worked in the industry.
Yes, of course.
It feels like you have this humongous IP that like I feel like people are really they want a win, and like it doesn't feel like you're putting it in the best possible place when like even like it's exciting that we're getting a new Star Wars movie next year. Yeah, like, that's really, really exciting to me. We haven't had one in 6-7 years now, and I think you put it in the best spot, and maybe that. And I don't know what else is coming out next year that could potentially like get in the way, but like I just assume Avengers is going to be like it's going to be in theaters pretty much most of the summer. Yeah, and then, but like for Disney, if you have a Marvel movie and a Star Wars movie where you space them out, where Doomsday makes as much money as it can, and then Mandalorian and Grogu makes as much money as it can, and you give it more time to, maybe there's some post-production stuff that they can fix. I kind of assume that this will be locked. The movie will be locked in by like probably November, December, and then they can tweak some things. Yeah, and then like that gives you more time to like. And Jon Favreau, like I'm kind of with Mando and Grogu. I'm kind of like, dude, he can kind of do no wrong. He did one episode for Mandalorian, and it's like universally one of like. Oh, we got the Odysseys. Yeah, we
have Odyssey, Doomsday, Spider-Man: Brand New Day, Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping, Masters of the Universe, Hail Mary, Verity, Scream 7, Worthington Heights, Supergirl, Shrek 5, Toy Story 5, The Bride, Last Friday, Coyote vs. Acme, allegedly Narnia, but I think that's a TV show.
I'm fully supportive of them doing Mando and Grogu in December of next year, and then doing Starfighter in May.
I mean, yeah, sure. For me, what I think that the Star Wars fandom and Star Wars is a brand. As much as I don't like talking about it in those terms, Star Wars as a brand, unfortunately, has to grapple with the fact that it, as a franchise, has this weird opportunity of being like not user friendly.
Yeah.
Like anytime somebody's like, oh, they'll see me out in the wild and they'll see, the way I'm fucking dressed and, all my tattoos and shit. And I'll be like, oh, you like Star Wars? I always wanted to get into it. I know somebody who likes it a lot, but like, I just don't know how. Like, there's just so much. And like, you can only do so much to explain to somebody without sounding like an asshole.
Mm.
They're numbered. And go like you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can watch them, but then you have sound like a crazy person to go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, all these TV shows. Look at these movies that all take place between 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the cartoon movie that's kind of insane.
I think,
but all of that to say, like it's already a franchise that I think a lot of people erroneously think has a high bar of entry, and because of that. Star Wars, I think, needs to put itself in a position to always be a cultural juggernaut. That is why the December release, in my opinion, was so fucking brilliant, because it has nothing else to go toe-to-toe with, for the most part. So then everybody's in town, and you'll have like a handful of people who are all like, hey, let's go see a movie. All you need is one big Star Wars fan in that group of people while everybody's in their hometown to go, let's go see Star Wars. And everybody go, yeah, fuck it. And you have that one nerd who explains everything to everybody and everybody has a good time. That is perfect. You're setting it up against the MCU where they already have this built in, it has been able to maintain the momentum that Star Wars had going into the sequel trilogy that on the big screen, I don't know that it necessarily has right now. So like, that is why the release date stuff gets so wonky and
I think
freaky to me.
You want to give it, like I said, give it the best opportunity to become that, because I think I kind of disagree. I think most people do know Star Wars, like especially like Gen X, millennial, maybe some Gen Z. I'm not necessarily worried about them, people not knowing it. I think there's especially like in the Mandalorians come through. Like,
sure, that is absolutely.
But like, I think. I think we're talking about like wanting the same thing where we want to give it the best opportunity to make not as much money as possible, to be the best movie as it can be, and to be the success that we want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that's the thing that spooks me again with the Doomsday versus Mando and Grogu. That is something that I'm just like, my hands are up and I'm clenched up over it, but yeah, with Starfighter, like I think that's an incredibly ballsy, brave shot to call. To go, we're coming out on the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. That's a big swing, and I respect the hell out of the ambition there. We don't know much else. Rumors floated around that Ryan Gosling's character would be able to touch the Force. So that would be interesting. So maybe this will begin the process of leading into the Rey stuff. Perhaps, I don't know. Sean Levy was very emphatic last night on the Galaxy stage during the Star Wars Live celebration coverage, making it abundantly clear that this is a standalone film. That the only baggage going into it is the galaxy is trying to rebuild after the reign of terror the First Order went on. So yeah, Star Wars Starfighter, that is a thing. That's something you have to look forward to. Also, have some people poking their heads in the chat. Hello, Brian. Hello, Bloom. I'm a millennial. I was born in 1998. See, I have that debate with Taylor all the time because I also was born in 98.
I thought the cutoff was like 96 for millennials. So I was born in 94. So.
It's that weird middle ground of like the Z-lennial. I consider myself a Z-lennial. Where I have that, like, I grew up on VHS tapes. Yeah. The internet seemed like weird and esoteric, and it wasn't like demystified for me until I was much older. Like I didn't grow up with a smartphone. Like I got a smartphone, but like I also was surrounded by people who had like little type guys.
I think for me, I'm pretty old compared to.
How old are you?
I've just turned 31.
You just turned 31. I did not know this.
Yeah. So
I did not know this.
I appreciate. I really appreciate that. That's what I love to hear. My rule has been since COVID, whatever age you were in the pandemic is the age that you came out. So I'm a COVID 29. So So
I that maybe a
but
COVID.
you'd be like a what? How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay,
So I'm
you'd
like
be
a
a COVID
like
25, 24.
20. I think I'm a COVID 24.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I'm
You know, that's
24.
good for you. You know, that's my point was going to be that I'm a millennial by birth, but a Gen Z by humor because like, a lot of like I remember there was one of my friends, I hadn't seen her in a while, and she has a little sister. And like I said something, we were hanging out, and she's like, "You're on TikTok a lot, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I absolutely am on TikTok all the time."
So yeah, with that COVID.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like as someone who has not necessarily done well with transitioning into his 30s, it's just like, yeah, 29, we're doing it.
I think you're doing great. And like I said, you could have had me fully telling everybody I know that you're only 28.
I'll leave with that. I'm 28 years old. I'm a COVID 29 and a Jarod 28.
For Mandalorian and Grogu, this is one that shocked me. Yesterday, early evening, late afternoon, it was announced that Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver would be on Good Morning America today.
Simple.
And that began me going, oh, we're definitely getting a trailer. Because I said on the most recent KNR episode, I was like, oh, like we're probably going to get a trailer. I was like, we're close enough. Now's the time, and again, with me being like, we got to build up to that cultural juggernaut. It's time to like start flooding the zone with Din and Grogu again. So I was fully counting on that. And when the panel started before the live stream started, I was like, okay, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
We were keeping up on Twitter and assorted other live streams of people kind of like live covering Twitter coverage. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that's all we had fucking available. That anybody had available. And I was like, okay, we're gonna get something. We got nothing. All we got was this like 11-second, teaser of just the logo.
I will say,
like the logo flying through space. Now that's all we got. Outside of Chiba.
I'll say, you look through Twitter, you can find.
You can
find stuff. I'm not gonna tell you where, but it's
not hard to find.
Just spell Mandalorian and Grogu in your search, and you can probably find something from it.
So basically, what we got out of the panel confirmed. The film is being shot in IMAX.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool. We're going to be seeing Zeb, which was something we had like trickles of rumors of. We know that for certain. Footage shown of Mando, Grogu, and Zeb walking through a New Republic airbase. Sigourney Weaver, we know, is for sure playing a high-ranking New Republic pilot, probably like higher brass within the Navy, because it seems like she is the one doling out missions to Din and Grogu. And again, she kind of like hinted at that at a recent press event where she was like, yeah, I'm giving orders to the Mandalorian.
That's pretty cool.
Also, we know that for her.
Not to sound like Tarantino, but did you see Zeb's feet?
I did.
It's pretty. It's the toes.
It's one of those weird moments as a Star Wars fan where you're like, wow, I can't believe how well they did the Lasat.
I know, absolutely.
With a fully straight face, with no irony at all.
They put the little Zebussy.
They threw the entire Zebussy in there. Gareth Aurelius, what did you do? But yeah, we got we saw like the BX droids, like the kind of like chunky version of BD1 that they have at the parks. And then, like I said, we did see there is footage out there. It is not hard to find. The footage leaked. That basically it's a fun little action sequence. It's very Daredevil, one-shot hallway, very John Wick, where Din breaches into an AT-AT and just massacres an entire squadron of stormtroopers.
Talking about that little snippet, the action is awesome, but what I think stood out to me the most was the end, the little humor where that dude, the pilot, shuts the door, and it's perfect comedic timing, and that's such a Star Wars thing that I think that Favreau kind of gets and has nailed. And they keep talking about with Starfighter, and with this, it's an adventure. It's it's that old school swashbuckling
adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever Favreau and Sigourney Weaver were speaking with Anthony Carboni, they were talking like he kept bringing up George was inspired by Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, shit like that, and like harkening back to like what has inspired us is based on this inspiration of George and how it's like cyclical. A wise man once said it's like poetry; it rhymes.
Who was that wise man? What was his name?
Rick McCallum.
Jared.
It's funny. As I literally, when you were watching the celebration footage you missed after you went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the celebration footage until I fell asleep last night, and I saw that panel. That I came out and you were rewatching the panel for the Filoni, Pascal, and then Sigourney and Favreau, not panels, but their interviews at the Galaxy stage. And we think we got through like 3 of those interviews before YouTube automatically recommended on your TV the beginning.
Yep.
And then you got in the shower, and I just watched like the first half of the beginning by myself with Taylor in the living room, and she was on her phone, and I'm just completely enraptured, locked in. And we got to that part where George says it, and I looked at Taylor, and I was like, she was making fun of me for the way I was like, oh, I love this. And I was like, wait, she was about to speak. I'm like, no, I need to hear him say it. Like, this is so important to me.
Baby, I love
George. I love you.
He's about to say.
He's about to say it's like poetry. It rhymes. Every stanza rhymes itself. And like again, knock on wood. Next celebration, I plan on doing a panel about that.
Fuck yeah.
A little bit of sizzle. My plan is to do a panel about like how Star Wars rhymes.
Meanwhile, when I woke up and you came out, I was watching Mr. Gritty videos and Cool Boy. So that's
Mr. Gritty.
Mr. Gritty.
Oh, incredible. But yeah, I said I was surprised by no trailer. That footage again of him just like going through the stormtroopers. I gotta say, like a lot of people like to talk about the Mandalorian, the show, like it doesn't really have any teeth anymore.
That's not true.
People undersell and again, it's not to say that like just because like it gets pretty brutal by Star Wars standards that it is inherently elevated material. I think it is a very meaningful and beautiful story told in that show. But I think people also undersell just how like gnarly that shit gets, and they're not pulling any punches in this movie. Like Din's like using throwing knives and like strangling people with the whipcord. There's the one guy he pulls up on, like I think it's when he stabs, he throws to the ground, hits him with the flamethrower.
I
proceeds to shoot a bunch of other guys, and then does like the Han Solo, Ben Solo, no look.
I have no idea why it tickles me, but the little like the flamethrower, it's so like such a small amount of time where it's just
it's like an afterthought.
Yeah, what's he do? Like, is there anyone there?
He's off the ground.
I mean, but like that tickled me.
It's so funny. It's so fucking funny. But yeah, and then after that we get Sigourney Weaver, and then Din like blows up the AT-AT from the inside. And then we see Sigourney Weaver's character talking to Din and talking to Grogu, either at a cantina or again at this same airbase, wherever it is, and her basically going, messy, very messy. Remember, you work for us. We need you. And then we see Din and Grogu flying around in the N1 via jetpack.
Didn't they show the Razor Crest again? Is the Razor Crest?
I didn't see it in there. People said at D23 last year that the Razor Crest.
I swear in the footage that. Listen, we're not telling you to go to Twitter to look it up, but like if you want to find it, you can find it. Okay, listen to him. Lucasfilm, take the shot now. I don't know.
There's a Mickey Mouse shaped fucking like laser sight right on my temple right now.
Oh, Jerry! I'll break the walls of your brain, motherfucker. Okay, how did we go from that? From hey, is the Razor Crest?
I don't know. I didn't remember seeing the Razor Crest in the footage.
I think it was there.
I have heard that it's back. I wouldn't mind. But Cameron Stewart, bruh.
Listen, that's the appropriate reaction.
Funny little non sequitur story here with that. I have a gun trained on me if I say anything about Star Wars I'm not supposed to say. It's a joke I have stolen from Sam Witwer from when I met him when I was like 13 at my local Comic-Con. then we were talking about Clone Wars because Maul had not come back yet. Get to that as well in a moment. Maul had not come back yet, so I'd only been like, oh, like he's Galen Merrick and he's the son in Mortis. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, Force Unleashed 3. He's like, we'll see. And he was like, but then he was like, but keep your ears open on Clone Wars in the future. And he was, and then he kind of paused and he went, that's all I can say. Otherwise, George will shoot me right now. He has shooters everywhere. And I was just so funny to me.
I like the idea that it's just George Lucas himself who at any moment could come out, like not even with a sniper. It's just he's got like
he's like Amanda Waller with like the Suicide Squad.
He's got a Glock ready to like come from the corner and just do like just good fellas.
Sham, you're talking too much. But
faster and more intense.
Faster and more intense. Also describes my automatic weapons. This is lovely. But yeah, no, so very excited for Mando Grogu. I'm surprised, frankly, a little disappointed. Okay, hold on. Taga Murphy says the Razor Crest has returned. We saw Zeb and Din in it at D. Okay. It was at D23. Cool, wonderful. So yeah, like I said, disappointed, no trailer. I don't want to linger on this specific thing too long. Anybody who watched my coverage of Celebration 2022 knows already. I get really frustrated by how they put these events on. For those of you who can't be there, Jay said Jared's got that shit on.
He got that thing on.
Hold up. You want the full fit?
Oh no!
Full fit?
Oh no!
You want full fit?
Don't do it to him. Oh my god!
We got Jar Jar shirt, Jar Jar shorts, both Roosevelts, Star Wars socks by Roosevelt. And what's the Jordan 4 military blues?
What's Roosevelt?
It's Roosevelt? Yeah, what's Roosevelt? It's the fucking cult line.
Okay, cool. That's
the
good.
fucking cult line, man.
If you're gonna do it, I gotta do it. I got my Canadian tuxedo on with Supreme Leader Smoke, smoking these fools. So,
Spliff, Snoke,
Jerry, I want you to know, I'm glad you noticed the whole. All I am is smolder. Like that's. I'm constantly looking like, okay, what am I? How do I look? What do I look like? What am I doing? And it's always just.
Hey man, listen, you got that Canadian tux on. You make
keep it on me.
You're making JT look like a fool. I'm taking this out because I don't think we have to play anything else, and it keeps sliding out of my ear hole. But like I said, anybody who kept up with my coverage a couple years ago of Anaheim, I think it's absurd that they don't really stream that many panels to the public anymore.
Yeah,
especially when it's abroad. Whenever it's as much of a difficult location as Japan for a lot of people, I understand that this event should come with exclusivity. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to argue that this event should you're only paying to buy merch. I don't want it to ever be that. What frustrates me on a fundamental level is showing at least a little bit of these panels to the public and then going, okay, guys, everybody on YouTube, sit tight. We'll show you more Star Wars Celebration live. But right now, this is for the people in the room.
I agree. Because it feels like, and even when I've gone in Anaheim and in Chicago, mm-hmm. It felt like, oh, well, I'm not on the panel. Just sitting out here watching the Star Wars show live, which is great. I love it.
Yeah. It's super fun too. Yeah.
But it's hard to, it's not hard to watch because I do like watching them, but it's hard when you bring out these big guests, you bring out Sigourney Weaver, you bring out Jon Favreau. It was particularly bad with Dave and Pedro.
And Pedro, that entire conversation, we were talking about this. That entire conversation was all about the things they can't say.
Yeah.
And that was that moment where it's I'm having my flashbacks to not being shown any panels and then being shown the Willow trailer 30 times a day. And no shade to Willow. Put that show back on Disney Plus. But it feels like all I'm getting is ads and then people talking about what they can't talk about.
But we're not asking you to say the thing you can't talk about. We're not asking for the plot. We're asking for hey, Sigourney Weaver's character's name is this, or we're in this part of the galaxy. I'm not asking you to give us the entire plot of Mando and Grogu.
Yes.
I'm asking you to okay, we know that the Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out. We know where Mando and Grogu are at this point at the end of season 3. What's going on? Give me
like I said, exactly. There has to be something we can do here other than that. I don't want to get hung up on it. I want to crash out live like I did the last time I tried to cover Star Wars Celebration live.
We can make that happen.
If we talk about it much longer, it will. But all of that to say, and also, I saw this comment here from Cameron Stewart. Just saw the clip of Buff Rada. I did want to talk about that as well. This is like this right here. All of Buff Rada. It's the Star Wars goofball fuckery that I live for.
Played by Jeremy Allen.
Played by one of the most sought after actors in Hollywood right now. Is a jacked version of one of the gluppiest shittos of all time, Jabba the Hutt's kid, who only shows up in the fucking Clone Wars movie.
This specific, because I think we got it in one of our group chats that Buff Rada is there, and that got me tweeting. The only thing that this could ever make me tweet was, "Show me the hot Buff Hutt, you cowards!"
Yes,
just scream
and it's
that's
only
not a
a
sentence I ever thought I would ever say in my entire life.
And I see Buck O'Brien's watching, so he will appreciate what I said to Bill last night. Because once we saw because again, it's at the very end of that sizzle reel, and it's just Rada coming out into this arena going with these arms the size of fucking cannons. And I looked at Bill and I said, "I'm sorry, I'm about to say the most me thing I've ever said in my life. That looks just like the arena from the Force Unleashed 2 trailer."
So that's the thing that Sam Witwer couldn't tell.
Yeah, Sam Witwer couldn't tell us.
Tell you.
Galen Merrick is in the middle.
Yeah, he couldn't tell you that. That was the one thing.
Not Galen, his clone.
Yeah.
For those of you watching the live stream, I put clone in quotation marks because my all-time Star Wars conspiracy theory is that Starkiller never died.
Yeah, of course. I thought that was.
Everybody tells me I'm fucking crazy for saying that. And that when I'm like, "You're not actually playing as a clone," they're like, "No, you're just doing wishful thinking." Computer slowed down a little bit on me here, but I can go off the cuff with this one. The other big announcement we got was for the next animated show. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Sam Witwer, Maul Shadow. This had been, I've been hearing rumblings about this. I alluded on the most recent KNR where I was like, if this is what I've heard it is, I'm going to freak the fuck out because this sounds awesome as shit. Mm-hmm. It is what I thought it was. What I heard it was. And what's crazy is it's more of what I thought it was. Because I had heard it's underworld. I had heard it's, crime shit, that Maul will play a big role and that it's going to be about the Crimson Dawn and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool. Maul will be a big player. It'll be, all of that stuff. So when the show was announced and his name is in the title, I was like, okay, the gloves are off. This is a Darth Maul show, which is awesome. Also, hello to you too, Darth Cadus. My third favorite Legends Sith Lord is behind Crate and Exar Kun. I'm sorry. Sam Witwer is Maul training an apprentice. Sign me up. Yeah, so that is the other thing. So we got the announcement after some well-earned celebration of 20 years of Lucasfilm animation. And they showed a little sizzle reel. At the end of that, they started showing stuff from Maul Shadow Warrior, or Shadow Lord, Shadow Warrior. That's episode of both the Clone Wars and Ahsoka. Shadow Warrior in Clone Wars is the episode where Captain Tarpul's dog walks General Grievous. And it shares the title with the Anakin Skywalker World Between Worlds stuff from Ahsoka, which I think is deeply hilarious. But with Shadow Lord, what's really interesting is that in the footage that was shown, Maul is depicted doing a prison break on a young female, reddish pink skinned Twi'lek.
Pornhub and looked up Star Wars.
Like all of them are Darth
that's
Talon.
That's it. That's all it is.
So
allegedly.
I have
I didn't mean to open that, but
I have a lot of opinions about Darth Talon as a character. I have a lot of opinions about how Darth Talon is portrayed in popular Star Wars media. I also have a lot of opinions about George Lucas's opinions about Darth Talon. And again, Darth Caedus, I think that like you're onto something. I don't think they're necessarily going to do Darth Talon as she is depicted in Star Wars Legacy and Legends. I think this might be a reimagining of her because when you look back at like the very rough outlines for George's sequel trilogy that people on the internet love to pretend were some like hard and fast, like series of screenplays. They weren't. They were rough outlines with a lot of like ideas that I don't know how you fit that into 3 films. So Darth Talon originally in Legends is, I think 150 years after the movies take place. She is like one of the most fervent, fanatical servants of Darth Krayt. And she's very interesting. And it's in that fanaticism. She's kind of like the poster child for this new version of the Sith that Asherad Head as Darth Krayt creates. Where if like the rule of 2 is like the governing like philosophy of the Sith, Krayt takes it and goes, no, it's the one Sith. It is, we are all Darths, but you are Darths beneath the one. And he exalts himself over the rest of his order. And obviously that breeds the infighting that the Sith Order always does. For some and for others, they do take that to heart and they do become fanatically loyal to this one man. He takes the Sith from a religious order to a cult. So Talon being known for this fanatical loyalty, for this willingness to kill or be killed in the name of Darth Krayt, it makes her a compelling character. Unfortunately, because it was the mid 2000s and she was a comic book character, she's half naked all the time, and like again, and then that's not to say that you can't appreciate the character. That's not to say you can't even appreciate the character because she's sexy. It's just like Darth Talon became one of those characters who's like weirdly fetishized. Beyond being able to be appreciated as a character. Like shouts out like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, like the fucking mobile game that I play. They added Darth Talon and they toned her costume down significantly.
Interesting.
And it's enough that she recognizably is Darth Talon. Like aesthetically, a lot of like the look is still there. It's just like, it's not like a fucking like halter top bra with like little slits in it, and like a loincloth covering, bits. Like she like it's still like a cropped like top, but like it's armor plated and she has actual pants on, You
played Jedi Academy, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of what's her
Tavion Axis. Yeah. Tavion Axis, another character, like really cool. And it ended with a weird pattern there where it's like all these like fanatically loyal Darksiders who like, oh yeah, we have to draw them as like risque as possible. All of that to say, Talon's one of those characters I never expected to see brought into canon. George toyed with his sequels, bringing Maul back and Darth Talon being his servant in the same way that George loved to pick and choose from Legends. Like Dave McKay said, the Ahsoka Tano is a little truth in Legends. That was he liked Darth Talon. I think he liked aesthetically, red Twi'lek with the Sith tattoos that Maul already had. So we'll put them together.
Can I put something forward for there's always a bit of truth in Legends?
Yeah.
So you were talking about the Force Unleashed. What if this takes place between Clone Wars and Rebels, and so therefore Clone Wars and the original trilogy? What if throughout this whole thing, instead of this is Maul taking in Padawans and like they don't work out, and that's a way to bring in Starkiller. So
big maybe this takes place only a year after the Clone Wars.
Yeah, so
this is only a year after the Clone Wars wraps up, so there's absolutely room for that. And like I said, George wanted to pair up Maul and Talon, all the way back, again, coming back to the Force Unleashed, which is like this weird through line of this show's existence and like the presence of this, Twi'lek he's going to train in the ways of the dark side and ways of the Sith, is that so there were like 3 games that were like on the table that like Chrome Studios and Hayden Blackman and his team were pitching. One was a game about Wookiees. One was a game about Darth Maul, where he is either resurrected or cloned or whatever in the far-flung future, so that he can be paired up with Darth Talon. And the third was Darth Vader's Secret Apprentice. Now, when you go back and play Force Awakens, you see how all of those come in.
Yep.
You know, it's all the Wookiee stuff on Kashyyyk, the big boss fight with Proxy masquerading as Darth Maul. All of that stuff is in there. But coming back to this here, this is another one of those examples of like, there's always been this like inkling around the time Dave got into bed with Lucasfilm of George toying with this idea of what if we paired up Maul with this Legends character that George knew nothing about, didn't care to know anything about. He just like read Twi'lek with Sith tats. What can we do with that? Let's pair them up because they look the same. And people paired them up in fan art all the time because they look the same. So there's always been this weird connection between Talon and Maul. I would not be surprised if she maybe does take a Darth name. And it is Darth Talon. It's just a reimagined version of her. It's just, you also get into that question about adaptation and like how much can you name a character the same name as a character already exists in like pre-existing material in the same IP, and they're still the same person. I'm not that invested in that. I'm excited to see where they take this and everything it has to has to offer. But that Darth Talon wrinkle, like, because when you brought it up, I went, oh, please God, no. But I'm down to see where it goes. I am down to see where it goes. It's just there's a part of me that's like mentally preparing for the fandom of it all, that because Talon in this animated show that is going to be marketed at kids, she's not going to show up like again, like you know, like she's in the Empire Strips Back burlesque show. She's not going to be dressed like that, and people are going to take umbrage with it. And that's the part that I'm like, you know, frustrated by. But I am excited to see where this goes, and I'm excited for Sam, and I'm excited for Sith stuff.
If this comes out and like people like don't like it, and their criticism is, well, she's not sexy, that's on them.
No, it's 100% on them, and that's like self-report on there.
And quite honestly, those people were never going to be happy with anything. They haven't been happy with anything that has come out since 2015. So like,
and even before, you know, it's just a lot of the same people who decided that they like the prequels now because they didn't like the one with the girl in it. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. The other brief news was the Skeleton Crew update. Pirate's Fortune, Hondo Onaka's in it. We already knew all that stuff, though, really. They're also adding free cosmetics based off of the stuff from Skeleton Crew, so that's one for Outlaws. Oh, my God, I forgot about the most important story. Monopoly Go.
I'm okay.
Just a quick
all my
note
love
before
to
we get out of
Ashley
here.
Eckstein.
No,
all my love to her.
I got to meet her this past December. She's very sweet. She was so kind to my little sister. It was wonderful. They brought her out the Galaxy stage, and anybody who was watching the live feed at like 11 p.m. last night,
I had a couple to drink.
I was sober, and it was laughing. It
was time at that point for Bill to go to bed.
That was how he found out. They bring her out, and she does the usual like, "Star Wars is awesome. We all love Star Wars. We're all here to love Star Wars." And she said, "And that's why I am excited to announce Monopoly Go!" And she like she said it like she was announcing like a full trilogy of
and that's like
movies.
That's why I love her. I do love her because the energy was up. She had it was go time.
She was out earning this.
Absolutely.
And they showed us a little trailer for Monopoly.
It looked fun, but like at the same time, it's like it goes back to our thing with like, okay, we've got these panels that you're not streaming, but we have Ashley Eckstein saying Monopoly Go!
Oh God, it was so funny.
As I said, that's when I knew it was time for Bill to go to bed.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, okay, I'm glad other people saw it. We're also like guffawed by the fact that they carted out poor Ashley Eckstein for that. Oh, but like I said, that is the big news coming out of the Eric Elliott Monopoly go to the polls. Yeah, the crowd was also surprised when I bet, because when you bring out Ahsoka fucking Tano the same night that there's going to be a panel about 20 years of animation, like an hour before 20 years of Star Wars animation, with the poster child
It's not
of
great.
Star Wars animation
It's not great.
to announce not a new Monopoly Go game, a month-long event.
Was it a? That's
It's an event.
Oh Lord!
In Monopoly Go. In Monopoly Go.
I am fully aware that you have. It's a business.
Yeah. And brand
like,
synergy and all that.
But like, it takes away some of the luster of like, wow, this is.
Like there's the one guy in the doing crowd work at one point right before Pedro and the Filoni interview. Where he's talking about like celebration is like a religious experience, and I'm listening to this in the shower. We're already asleep, and I'm like, it's like a religious experience. I'm like, yeah, fucking Monopoly Go. It's a religious experience, and I'm and I know that it is. I have not been. All of our friends have, and I know how powerful being a Star Wars celebration is and can be. But it's just like trying to palette and like combine that with Monopoly Go.
Yeah, it's. I don't. There wasn't anything when I went in Anaheim where I was like, "This is like an advertisement for something."
It's an advertisement.
But
I just realized we were doing this whole fucking stream without the fucking frame I made. Here, guys.
Put it on. Put it on.
Yeah,
it's fine. There it is. Oh, hello, guys.
But yeah, God, it's so fucking bad. It's so fucking silly and so embarrassing for everybody involved.
No, I think that it's something we can be proud of together.
Monopoly Go.
Monopoly Go.
To
the polls.
To the polls. With that, I think that's all we have for you guys for the day one recap. Stay tuned for when this banner is also on for the rest of our coverage. I turned it off because I was like, oh, I'll leave it off for when we do a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer reaction.
Well,
that never came.
Okay, it's fun. I like it. I'm glad it's here, and this is the best.
Yeah. So stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow, round about the same time. I should have the Monopoly Go is more important than Maul and Gosling.
Listen,
yes,
like the way she said it, you would have thought. Like I think she believed.
What's the line from Tommy Boy? Sell a ketchup popsicle to a bitch in white gloves.
I think that the Monopoly Go should be a clip now. I think that you should make that a clip.
Yeah, all of you, as we go off to adventure in Kentucky, find the clip and DM it to me on Twitter or Blue Sky, and it will join the ranks of such illustrious clips on this StreamYard.
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
Yeah.
Give me another one. I got to get it.
You need another one?
I need another one.
Do you want another Alex?
No, I do that. Do this one.
This one?
Uh-huh.
This one?
Uh-huh.
My voice.
This was okay. One more clip. Just I don't know if you've ever seen this one. This was sent to us. This was somebody in. Who's a fan of the cast. Yeah, I've played this forever. Watch the screen carefully in the background, everybody. I don't want to encourage any chicken jockey bullshit, but doing a backflip in the theater is the funniest thing ever. But anyway, thank you guys for catching up with us today. We will be back tomorrow morning to talk about the announcements and news tonight. I believe today will be Andor and Ahsoka and Bit Reactor featuring Respawn, which sounds like a rap song in the making there. For Zero Company. So we'll be, like I said, we'll be getting the news about Zero Company. We're getting Andor. We're getting Ahsoka season 2.
Hopefully, I'm hoping for a Jedi Survivor sequel.
That's the thing. We were talking about this on the most recent KNR as well. Just in terms of like speculation for today. Before, when they just announced the panel as Bit Reactor featuring Respawn, I was convinced it was going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about the turn-based game that Bit Reactor's doing, and then we're going to get Jedi 3.
Is it a specific Zero Company?
It's not specifically
Is it like a Lucasfilm game?
It is Bit Reactor featuring Respawn panel. Like, it is just them. It is not about Lucasfilm Games. Like, obviously it is, but like it's just those two studios because they're working on Zero Company. And then whenever Zero Company got that big,
Respawn is still like that.
I know, but like because they're helping with Zero Company, so like when they did like here's the key art for Zero Company and like here's this game and stay tuned to Celebration, it feels like they put enough hype and sizzle on Zero Company stuff that I think it would be weird for them to do that and then steal Zero Company's thunder with Jedi.
I don't, but like
who knows how that goes? Who knows how that happens? It could go either way. I don't know. I'm just saying my hope and expectation for a Jedi 3 trailer or any news about that went from like about a 70 to about a 30.
Okay. I'd like to see something.
I would like to see something.
I want to see something. Show it to me. Jedi Survivor.
We want Jedi 3, Cal Kestis and his funky little mullet.
This witch girlfriend, what's she doing? She's using magic. What color is it? Some people are saying green.
Ichor green. Night Sister magic. Bill, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitter at Star Wars Bill. You can also find me on Instagram at Star Wars Bill. Forget what my Blue Sky is. Hold on, let me pull it up, and I'll let you guys know where you can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Blue Sky. I've said Blue Sky too many times. You can find me on Blue Sky at also Star Wars Bill. I am an idiot. I am so sorry. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
I thought you were doing a bit. Because I knew it was Star Wars Bill, and I didn't want to take your legs off from under you.
No.
So I didn't say anything.
Why did you just say?
I thought you were doing a bit. I didn't want to ruin you.
No, there was no.
But there was fully earnest that you couldn't remember that you're social media on everything.
This is what I'm dealing with. He comes into my home. And he just criticizes me the entire time.
I broke the lamp. I didn't actually. I just pulled it out of the thing a little too hard. But anyway, that's what I do. I show up at somebody's house and start breaking shit. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky at Dark Jedi 2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast here on YouTube. Like I said, we'll be streaming all 3 days of Celebration. Also find us in the podcast feed wherever you get podcasts. Check out our Patreon. Shout out to Brendan Marr, Paco, and Ray Clausen. Support us at the $10 tier every episode. You get a shout out there. $5 tier gets you access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series, which we just wrapped up season 5. Our last matchup was Baylan Skull and Shin Hati versus Anakin and Ahsoka, Circa the Clone Wars. So season 5 was a huge back catalog of just a shit ton of Versus episodes there. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We will be seeing you guys tomorrow morning. And may the Force be with you always.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!